Good day, everybody. I'm Redeyes, and welcome back to What's This Then? For today, I'm here to ask and answer that very question about Elden Ring Nightreign. Now, Elden Ring Nightreign is an interesting one. As you might imagine, if you're familiar with From Software and the Souls-like genre as a whole, I still remember that announcement for it, because we were still so short off the back of Shadows of the Erdtree that seeing anything resembling Elden Ring again was such a surprise, because we were told that, you know, Shadows of the Erdtree, that was the last DLC, nothing else for Elden Ring, that was it. And then we get hit with this, and we're thinking, what's going on here? And then we find out From Software's taking a stab at some more modern gameplay genres and sort of takes. So they're having their stab, and I know that the roguelite genre is not necessarily new, but it's definitely a popular one at the minute. And popular gameplay sort of ideas and methods don't tend to be From Software's thing. Now, they've made one in the Souls-like genre, obviously, but they don't tend to take from other games. They tend to do things their way, and that's how you like it or you hate it. So Nightreign was a very interesting one, them saying that they were going to have this roguelike thing, there was going to be a circle that closes in, Battle Royale style, we had character classes that had abilities and ultimates, all sorts of stuff, you know, it was crazy. Never something I think anyone really expected from Software, but certainly piqued my interest. I'm sure it piqued a lot of people's interest, just to see their version of this sort of thing. And it makes a ton of sense. When you think about how long they spent making Elden Ring, how much money and time went into Elden Ring, to reuse those assets, to make a smaller, sort of more bite-sized game in comparison to what Elden Ring was, especially after the DLC, it just makes a ton of sense, you know? Reuse those assets, you spent so long making them, you spent so much money on them, let's use them for something else, just something fun, experiment, throw it out there, we'll see what happens. Almost certainly they'll be experimenting for future titles with this, you know, different systems and how things work and all that sort of business. So, with that said, what really is this? Because it was a little bit confusing, but it is a run-based 3-player co-op roguelike where you go through each day, fight a boss at the end of the day, and ultimately culminates in fighting the Night Lord of your choice. You pick the Night Lord, and then you go through your run, try to get strong enough, you're on the time limit, and then try to beat the Night Lord, move on to the next one. After you beat the first Night Lord, you can kind of select from many Night Lords, but me personally, I'm just sort of going through them one by one, so I think that's the most fun way to do it. But yeah, it's been interesting. It's been very, very interesting, especially seeing people's reception to it. I feel like a lot of people are going to bounce off of this one, especially if Elden Ring was your first Souls game. Then you come into this, like, it may be like a little bit strange, especially even hardcore Souls fans. You know, this is maybe just not what you wanted from Software. But like I said, I think it's a great idea for them to do it. Personally, I was really excited, and just to sort of give my quick, did I like it, did I not? I've been having a great time with this. It's not perfect by any means, especially in the technical sense, which seems to be a From Software staple at this point. Usually their games release on PC and they're just not doing the best technically. Elden Ring was a notable one for that. Lots of stutters in that. Haven't noticed so many stutters here, which you'd hope, you know, same engine and all that, so. And running mostly the same stuff. You'd hope they kind of sort some of that stuff out. But the thing that makes this one an extra challenge is that From Software have never really focused on multiplayer before. They've always had a multiplayer component, but multiplayer has never been the front and center idea behind one of their games before, unlike this one. And I feel like there's some teething issues going on there, certainly some server-related issues. But how much of that is due to a lot of people playing over the weekend, which was my main sort of play period, and how much of that is like actually things needing to be updated and patched, I suppose time will only tell, but I can only discuss what I've experienced, so let's hop into the technical side and we can see some options. If you are familiar with the Elden Ring settings, then this will all look very, very familiar to you. I do appreciate the slightly different layout for it. Does definitely sell the fact that this isn't Elden Ring, but something adjacent to it. You've got your normal stuff, auto lock on, auto target, map cursor speed, all that sort of business. Now, map cursor speed, that might be one you want to mess about with, because you might want to sort of flick the things a little bit quicker, because anything that saves you time in the runs is good, generally. Camera options, this is all the usual stuff. You know, cinematic kill effects, auto rotation, camera speed. Display, if you want blood, subtitles, HUD, game guide, HDR. Sound, you've got pretty much decent little selection here. You've got pretty much everything you would need. Master volume, music, sound effects, voice. Now when it says voice, there is no voice communication between players in this, which is one of those... You do it how From Software wants you to do it, and they're not changing that. Because I seen that was a big thing that a lot of people were kind of... They didn't realize that wasn't going to be there, you know. Understandable in the base game of Elden Ring, but maybe in this like more multiplayer focused, a lot more people expected voice communications. However, I have found like the pinging system to be more than sufficient for communication between random players. Network, cross-region play. Now what this isn't is cross-platform play as well. This game does not have any of that at all, which is definitely the biggest From Software needs to catch up that this game has got, certainly. Having a multiplayer-focused game and not having cross-play when it seems every other game seems to be able to do it so easily these days is a big sort of mark against the game. Especially because, you know, if you have a friend on the console, you get it on the PC, you can't play with each other. Someone's got to buy that twice. And if that's just not possible, then you're just not playing it together. So that sucks. I wish they would add that. I don't know if that is something they can add in the patch. I don't know if that's built into the infrastructure of the game. Only time will tell. They haven't really spoke about it, I believe. So, we can only wait and see. Button settings. You got some rebindables. Now, not literally everything is rebindable, but, you know, 99%. All the stuff you would want to rebind, you can. So, that's good stuff. And you've got full mouse and keyboard key binding and all that sort of business. However, as with any From Software game, I personally wouldn't recommend playing it on mouse and keyboard. You can. It's not unplayable. But everything is just kind of designed around the fact that you're on a controller, so... graphics, you've got screen mode, you've got full screen windowed and borderless. This game kind of feels like it has a bit of an archaic full screen, where alt-tabbing in full screen takes a long time. Or at least that's been my experience. I'll alt-tab and actually have to wait probably upwards of 20 seconds for it to allow me to then navigate my desktop. However, that could be a me thing. I have 3 monitors, maybe something's going on there. But From Software's full screen modes have usually been like that, so I usually stick to borderless windowed. Especially on Windows 11, borderless windowed is totally fine. Choose your display, put your resolution, and then you got like your quality settings and stuff here. You can choose a preset, or you can go into the advanced. And they've got a lot of really good stuff in here. Pretty much everything you would need to see. And then the other thing, which, if you're familiar with From Software, this won't come as a surprise, but the game is locked to 60 FPS still, which is very unfortunate. Now, with this game being tied to the Elden Ring like engine and sort of backbone, I'm not too surprised at this one being 60, even though their recent Armored Core 6 could go up to 120. I would love to see them jump up to 120 minimum. Personally, I would love to see us be able to set whatever frame rate we want. But 120, I believe, is like what most games should be aiming for. I think a 60 FPS cap now is... You know, you can do better than that. Not that 60 is unplayable, certainly not. Like, a locked 60 is, like, fine. But once you've played and seen higher frame rates, it's just... 60, it just feels so bad to go back to. But it's the sort of thing, you sort of acclimatize to it after a bit of time. Now, let's load into my characters. You can see I've got about 15 hours played or so. I have killed 2 of the Night Lords. And right away, we've gotten one of my big criticisms of the game, that there is stuttering. Now, I think this is network-based stuttering. I'm not 100%, but it seems to only really been happening to me whenever I've been hosting, and in the odd time, like in the round table like this. And I can only imagine it's some kind of multiplayer-related thing. Oh, Jesus, they're getting bad today. But sometimes these freezes, or these, like, stutters, have lasted upwards of, like, nearly 10 seconds. Like, pretty bad. In fact, I'm getting them quite rapidly here. Not too sure what's going on. I haven't had them this frequently. But, yeah, just due to, like, network stuff and all that sort of business. I don't actually know what's going on here. This is quite frustrating. I literally I've not seen it happen this much. So let me try flicking it over to full screen. And normally I had found that windowed, borderless full screen had actually ran better in that regard, like less stutters, and usually that full screen had caused me to get more. I tested the two just to see if it was something like that, but I'm not too sure. It's a bit of a weird one. It's definitely the biggest technical issue impacting this game so far. There is the occasional little stutter, like tiny ones that would be very similar to when Elden Ring first came out, but those are very minimal, very minimal, not very often at all. Whereas those big stutters are quite frequent. Anyway, with that set aside, this is your round table, much like Elden Ring. Very familiar with this. Classic hub area. This is where you'll do your expeditions from. You'll commence them from the table here. Now, if you don't want to see how many Night Lords there are in the game, I'm going to be hitting triangle on this, and then it'll show a list of them all. So if you don't want to be spoiled on that, skip ahead a bit. But yeah, just if you're very sensitive to spoilers. But essentially, these are our Night Lords. And there's very clearly some space below there, because they've left themselves open for certainly DLC to get added here for sure. But like I said, beat the first two. Very fun fights, very fun fights. Both have felt very distinctly different, and I can't wait to see. I haven't done any runs since beating the Gaping Jaw or the Centipede Demon here, so it'll be very curious to see Sentient Pest and Augur, Equilibrious Beast, Dark Drift in the Night, Fisher in the Fog, all really cool stuff. Now, inside the hub, there's plenty of stuff to do. You can go and speak to all the different characters and get, like, you know, just some little flavor text here and there. Character selection, you can switch to any of the characters. As you can see, there are currently 8. 2 of them need to be unlocked when you start the game, but they're not too hard to unlock. You can get them fairly quick. I think I got them inside the first, like, 5 runs, maybe even quicker than that. And almost certainly they'll be adding more, because I picked up the deluxe edition, or whatever the ultimate edition is. It's like slightly more expensive, that says it'll come with more characters as they get added later. So it'll be very interesting, because the character archetypes that they've designed here are a lot of fun inside the context of a Souls series, especially with how they've handled like a few things that would be different in other games of this sort of type, such as like you beat up your teammates when they're down to resurrect them, so characters like the Archer almost feel like healers in a way. It's a weird one, because they can just shoot you from a distance and get you up, whereas a melee character has to run up to you and like start hitting you. So it's like the Archer feels like the best class for reviving people, which is very interesting. But yeah, you can change garb, because there's skins in the game. Now, there are no microtransactions in this game, which is absolutely excellent. Absolutely love that. From Software continues to deliver in that sense. One of the few sort of big developers these days that it feels like have escaped the sort of nightmare of microtransactions, because the gaming scene has become very what's the slow boiling frogged when it comes to that sort of stuff, and especially with how other things are creeping in, like paying for early access to the game. Like if you pay an extra £10, you can play the game 3 days early. And From Software, thankfully, are not going anywhere near that sort of stuff, because I absolutely despise that sort of thing on principle. Because either you're paying for a worse version of the game, and you're basically beta testing for a few days, so you're paying more for less, or they're artificially pushing the release date back to get more money. And just either, like, there's no, I don't see a good non-money hungry way of explaining that. So, hate to see that practice, love to see From Software not touching it. What else we got here? Okay, so relics. Yeah, let's have a look at relics. These are little items that you get at the end of runs, or there's a little store you can get. You have little loadouts, because they're color coordinated. You can only put a red one inside of a red slot, a green one in a green slot, etc, etc. And you can get these other sort of templates. So if you don't like, say, Raiders' first one is a green and 2 green, or a red and 2 green. If you don't like that, there's another one you can buy, red, blue, and orange, or yellow. So this is cool, because you can do little loadouts. Very fun. And further into the run you go, if you beat the Night Lord, for example, then you get stronger ones, and you also get a unique Night Lord one. So you can see I have the one from the first boss here, and then there's the second boss there, and they're pretty cool. They're very strong ones. So you can really do little, like, cool little loadouts, and they kind of act as your meta progression that stays, like, no matter what. You die in a run, that's, you know, still there with you. It doesn't reset. Hence why it's a roguelite. What else we got here? So we got the visual codex. I'm not going to go through everything in here, but this is just where you can see, like, hey, this is this equipment, it has this scaling, has these properties, which is very important. You're going to need that. Characters, you can see their stats. You can see, like, the Raider here, for example, he has A in HP, D in FP, A in stamina, strengths, S scaling, so he does very well with strength weapons. And curiously, one very interesting thing about this game is that certain characters have preferences for certain weapons, and they actually get a unique move set for those weapons. Should use them. So Wilder, for example, here you can see preference greatsword. So he gets a unique greatsword moveset. Guardian gets one with halberds. Iron Eye gets them with bows. Duchess with daggers. Raider with great axes, great hammers, and colossal weapons. Revenant doesn't get any. She has a whole thing in and of to herself. Recluse doesn't get any just because she's casting magic. She gets unique, like, sort of magic-based stuff. Executor gets katana. Very cool. Makes those characters really stand out, and it makes you want those types of weapons, because it's nice and thematic, it's nice and cool. You've got the journal. These are little backstories on the characters, and you also get to do these remembrance missions, what you go out and do in the world on runs and stuff, but only one of those can be done at any one time, so you can't have 2 players doing one at the same time. Small Jar Bazaar, you've got this over here. This is where you just buy, like, emotes. This is where also you buy those extra loadouts. And then you can also buy a random selection of different relics here. And the one at the bottom is literally just a random one. You buy it and you will get random. You know, if you just want to throw your currency in there and just see what you get back out. And then you've got different little scenic areas like Garden on the Shore, you know, because one thing about From Software is, you know, we love the vibes here. So we are given the garden just for vibes. We are given the shore. Pure vibes. You'll love to see it. And you've got stuff like the waiting room, which there's nothing in here yet, but it's interesting that it has a location I can teleport to. So one thing this game's been doing really well with its progression is that it has been gating a lot of it to certain Night Lord defeats. So you can't change your character's skins until you defeat 2 different Night Lords. There's a big part of the randomization, like a lot of the content of the randomization is locked behind beating the first Night Lord. Now that kind of acts as, like, keeping the randomness kind of to a minimum while you fight the first Night Lord and get to grips with, like, how all the systems work. So you'll only see, like, certain bosses and stuff like that on the way there. And then once you beat the first Night Lord, it's kind of like it takes the training wheels off and goes like, okay, now you can see all of it, or, you know, more of it. And then as you're defeating more and more Night Lords, it's like, here's more and more stuff that you can potentially run into, and I think that's done very well. And then you've also got the sparring grounds, which is very useful because it gives you a little training dummy to beat up, and you can edit the settings and mess about with stuff here and be like, I want infinite FP to test this. I want my ultimate to have infinite charge so I can test around with that. Very cool. Especially because, like I said, with From Software going after more modern design trends, we have characters that have abilities and ultimates, which is a very strange thing to see in a From Software game, certainly. So like the Raider here, for example, he's got this Retaliate, where if I get hit while I'm doing that, I will retaliate back with like a big counterattack, which is very good against bosses because it actually stun locks them for a few seconds, and then you can get free damage in. And then his ultimate is to create this giant tombstone, which is very cool. Does damage to enemies whenever it comes out of the ground. It creates a platform, so if you're getting swarmed, you could jump up here and jump off and do like a big attack. It also gives this like red aura around it, which gives a damage up, so everyone around it is doing more damage, which is very nice. Well, friendlies, you know, not enemies, of course. And his stuff comes back very fast, so use it quite a lot. And all the different characters have all their different like abilities and stuff, and synergies, and you know, weapons that go well with their abilities and all this sort of stuff. So it's a lot of fun. Each character feels very unique, very, very unique. Like no two characters feel like they could go out and do the exact same thing as another one, just slightly different. It feels like if you wanted to play in this exact way, you have to play that character. So far I've played all of them except for Recluse, because my friends that I've been playing have mostly been playing Recluse. So I've played Wilder, Guardian, yeah, played them all. They're a lot of fun. Each one of them feels very different from the last. And I'm very excited to see what new characters they add later on, because that'll be very interesting. Especially with some of the crazy stuff they've been doing. And almost certainly these characters are going to be being used to test new things for their future games, like almost certainly. So that'll be very interesting to see. Now, let's jump in. I'm just going to jump into a random run against the first Night Lord here, and I'm going to just play with randoms, and I'm hoping that they're going to know what they're doing, and I'll just follow along and sort of talk about sort of the gameplay loop. But I would say overall, when it comes to the actual gameplay, when it comes in the run-to-run stuff, it's very frantic, very, very frantic. They have, like, nailed the idea of you need to be moving and making decisions and constantly growing your power at, like, all times. There is extremely little downtime. The only downtime I can really think of is whenever one night is ending and you get to like the tree that you have to get to at the end of a night, like kind of quick. So you get there fast and you're just kind of waiting for the zone to come in a little bit, but that doesn't happen very often. And then the other one is before you fight the Night Lord, you're given a bit of a reprieve. See, this is the little cutscene we get when we're going in. You get to see your teammates, and you get this cool little running after the Spectral Hawk and then flying in. It's very cool. Great presentation on all of this, which is fantastic. You know, From Software, they know how to do presentation, and that extends to this game as well. It's all fantastically done. That's the one thing that I was a little bit surprised by, just how much they were able to keep that classic From Software feel, even though they're changing up the gameplay style and systems like so hard here. I mean, it's still Elden Ring like combat at its core, but obviously the gameplay loop of this like run base, drop in, clear out camps, loot up, very different for them. And Elden Ring works as an absolutely amazing basis for this system as well, because there's just so many weapons, so many items that you can chuck in here. Fire pots and stuff, I don't need that. So there's chests, let's have a look at those. I will say, I do not envy someone who has to play this for the first time and not having also played Elden Ring at some point. Because knowing like what's good off the bat is a huge advantage. Absolutely massive advantage. When it comes to like, oh, this sword dropped on the ground? Oh, I know that sword. I know its moveset. I know it's good. And then I know what S scaling and strength means, and I know this weapon has a good scaling and strength from Elden Ring. So I'll pick that up and I know I'm having a good time, or I know I've picked up a strong weapon. And then someone jumping in for the first time, like, there's going to be a ton to learn, and you don't have a lot of time to learn it. Which is what I was saying, like, this game is frantic as hell. Like, you are moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Getting absolutely ganked, classic. It's funny, the moveset that this character gets with colossal weapons almost feels like... they're slower than like the normal moveset would be. So I've had a harder time sometimes hitting smaller enemies, which is definitely the design intent there. We've got a castle here, so you'll find these like different templates of areas. They won't always be in the same place, but they'll generally have like a very similar layout inside with some randomization of like, oh, it's this boss this time here, or this time they're in this specific part. So sometimes the boss is like down here fighting, sometimes the boss is upstairs, which is I believe our teammate is currently fighting them now. And if you fight a boss, you get a you get this drop, which you'll see in a second here. It's here, and then you get to pick a reward depending on the rarity of the drop you got. Will depend on how many rewards you get or the quality of them, etc. Duelist Great Axe, that seems pretty good, we'll have that. So I've got this here, but I'm not the level to use it yet, but I think we can just level up to 3. Yep, so now I can use this. Excellent. So I've got my bigger axe. Now all the items, or all the weapons, everything you can equip and use in these top 6 slots, they will have a weapon art, if it is something that can have a weapon art, but they'll also sometimes have a passive. And the passives are what make picking up anything interesting. Because you can get passives that even if you're not holding the weapon are still impacting you. Oh, the church is over here. So you can get a weapon that has a passive that is continual health regeneration. Just having it in your back pocket just means you are regenerating health. Now, it's not like a big regen, but regenerating health is pretty strong in this sort of context. So those are always worth looking out for, and if you see a little hand icon on the sort of passive slot, it means you have to have it in your hand to actively get the passive benefit. So you end up seeing, because in the round table you can see this little sort of area where other people's loadouts are shown after they won a run. So you can just see like, oh, someone beat a Night Lord with this loadout. And they just have like 1,000,000 weapons in their inventory because they give all these crazy passives, and then they've got like the one weapon that they're actually using because it's the best one they have. So it's quite fun filling up the inventory, and it means every weapon that drops is useful to everyone, potentially. So it's not the case of like, oh, I'm the raider, so if I see a bow drop on the ground, I'm not even going to look at it. It's like, you may as well look at it because it might have a stat on it that says increases physical damage by, you know, certain percent. And then it becomes very useful. Because that's just free damage, just having it in your back pocket. Took me a couple of runs to realize that that was the case, because I was doing the whole like, oh, a bow on the ground as my sword man. Like, I don't know that. Let's beat up this guy. These are some nasties from the base game, if you know that. Some bosses very easy, some bosses very hard. And so it's got. So this inflicts poison, but I need to have it, so it'd be a poison bow. Improved ranged weapon attacks, maximum FP. So none of this is particularly good for me, but I'll take the pokey sword. Beat up some flowers. And hit a level up. So leveling up, as you can see, is very quick. You just run up to it, hit triangle, and then hit X. And if you have the runes, then you level up. And if you don't, go get some more runes. This basically keeps the pacing intact. That's the term I should be using. The pacing of this is incredible. And the fact that it's... or incredibly fast, I should say. That's going to be subjective, whether it's incredible or not. I quite like it. You get... There's a sense of focus that you get into during these runs. And that sense does not let up, like, the whole time. So what we got here? Golden Great Hammer. I'm being attacked by a sky thing. That's not great. Something missing proof spell. No, we don't need that. Yeah, the pace is massive. Like, you'll just go into a run and then you will not stop focusing on the fact that you're in that run until it's over, pretty much. And that's one of the most impressive parts about this, the fact that it is so consistently like that, while also not... Oh, there's one of them network stutters, so I guess it's not me as host, unless I'm hosting this, because I doubt they're doing dedicated servers. I'm not 100% sure how they're doing that, but... I'm also yet to look up if this is a widespread issue. This could just be me, but I had no issues with Elden Ring, so... we'll find out. But just keep in mind that this may be something that you experience as well. I've heard about some frame dropping issues, just given how many enemies and stuff can be in one place, and you know, stuff like that. Like, there is going to be like a bit more of an impact on your PC than say Elden Ring was. Not that Elden Ring couldn't have done that as well, but so let's beat up this guy. So that's another boss dead. So we get a thing here, and it's a purple one. So I get the choice of a golden halberd. Now it's not actually as strong. Do I want that or max HP? The max HP is probably better, but I kind of want it just for the fun. The golden halberd is a classic from beating the tree sentinel at the start of Elden Ring. Many a player has used that weapon throughout their entire Elden Ring run. Oh, actually, I shouldn't use it yet because I need to be level 7, so some weapons have level requirements to use, as you might imagine. And I believe it's like you don't get the passive effects and they do less damage until you sort of reach that threshold. But you can hit it quite fast. Now, the penalty for death in this is quite interesting because you will drop your souls, as you might imagine. You will also lose a level. And given how quick you need to move through this game and how fast you need to be gaining power, that is a serious setback if you lose a level. Now, if you go back and get your runes again after they've been dropped, you will not only get the runes that you were holding, but you will also get enough runes to get that level back if you get it. So it is worth going back, but many a run I have had where I've died to something and been like, crap, I need to get those runes back because now I'm behind on the curve and the Night Lord is going to be so much harder, or even the end of day boss is going to be so much harder because I'm not going to have that. Okay, none of this is particularly good for me. Crucial Implication. Your dexterity says to have... Yeah, okay, I'll take that. Alright, so talismans and stuff, yeah, you can see, like, you can get those as well. They're all in here. You can find certain types of items in certain places, like the scarab beetles that you can see here. They'll always drop talismans. But, again, just random, because roguelite, whether you get something that helps you run or not. So we've got one of these mausoleum areas, or like cathedrals. These are usually pretty good. Usually have a boss that isn't too hard and a good number of enemies, some good chests. They're a good one to hit up on the way. Oh, I'm locking onto a guy behind. That's not what I want. Oh, sorry, our teammate has just ran straight underground. He's attacking the boss. Understandable. I'll just take a free and easy little upgrade here. Neither one. Oh, continuous HP recovery on a shield. There we go. Perfect. And that is a passive that I don't need to be holding it for, so I can literally just stand here and I will just get regenerating HP. Very nice. So it's handy enough here having some randoms that seem to know what they're doing and have an actual plan. So far, that's been a big thing. As well, is a lot of people have been worried about, like, oh, what if I have to play with randoms, you know, like, are they going to be any good? Because, you know how it is playing multiplayer games with randoms. It is a complete gamble. Whether you're going to get someone who's competent or someone who has no idea what they're doing. So far, my experience with this, I have had one random that I have thought, like, okay, you were not the best. That could have been someone learning, so, you know, no, like, real judgment toward them or anything, but... Every other random I've had has been, like, pretty competent. Like, they seem to want to know where they want to go, and... You know, they're not just dying, like, every fight, and all that sort of stuff. Oh, I don't know if we should be fighting this guy. Some world bosses are quite hard. And I think he is one of them. Yeah, this thing has wiped some of my runs if you try to attack it too fast. Let's summon our big rock, because we love our big rock. Everyone does more damage. So this would be a nasty one to die on, because then getting your runes back after can also be tough, because he's quite strong and fast. So this is a big risk. A lot of these runs are going to involve risk, and the pace of the game leads to these risky moments being incredibly exciting. Like, you'll see the zone coming in, and the zone is scary in this. Yeah, that's the big attack I was worried about. That is a nasty one. One shot all of us. So now we get into the situation of, do we try and run back and get our runes? I think it's definitely worth doing. But yeah, that is a world boss that's kind of like, fight this guy maybe on the second day before you're gonna fight the Night Lord, you know. Let's run in and grab them again, because we are gonna need them. I think we should get out of here. Yeah, we should not fight that guy. Everyone kind of... looks like they maybe want to keep going, actually. I don't know. No, he'd be better to fight on day 2, but this is sort of like the now you're playing with randoms thing, so... It can be tough to coordinate these, like... Okay, we should not fight this, and everyone's kind of scrambling around. Now you're wasting a bit of time where you could be farming more. But it's not the worst. It's not the worst. Yeah, like I was saying, randoms have been pretty competent. I've had a good time with randoms. I have played most of my gameplay with one friend and one random, and then another decent chunk of gameplay with 2 friends, and I've played a couple of games with 2 randoms. I have not tried any single player yet. Now, from what I understand, the solo mode for this, it's not really super intended. They kind of put it in there just because they knew people would want it. So it's not like super balanced, however I've heard of a patch that will be coming later in the week potentially that's going to improve the viability of solo play. Such as more runes earned per enemy killed, some free revives, because obviously there's no one to revive you. All that sort of stuff. This little guy is just stabbing me in the back. Can you stop? Big slam. Break the stance. Huge. So yeah, whenever you get to this final little zone, you fight a little pre-boss group, and then you fight the actual boss. So here we've got Demi-Human Swordmaster and Demi-Human Queen. You'll recognize both of them from the base game of Elden Ring. This game has a really cool mix of Elden Ring enemies and, Elden Ring bosses, completely original bosses, mainly for the Night Lords. And then, as if you've watched any of the trailers and stuff, they've actually added Dark Souls 1 through 3 bosses in here. And when I saw that trailer of this game for the first time and saw the Nameless King from Dark Souls 3 just riding around, and this is before we knew really what was going on with this game, that was a funny moment. No one knew what was going on there. It's almost like an Elden Ring arcade, you know, like FromSoft's fucking biggest hits. If only they could get the rights to Bloodborne back and Demon Souls, and then we'd truly have it all. And I think Sekiro's locked with Activision, so unfortunately we won't be seeing any of them unless some deals go through. That's very unfortunate that you ran away as I did that. But you came back, so we get the damage buff. All good. Lovely. First boss isn't normally too bad unless you've had a really atrocious first day. Enemies die. Oh, attacked enemies die regardless of remaining HP on rare occasions. I've had that one a couple of times, and when it procs, it's very nice on certain enemies. Because you'll just go into a fight and be like, oh, I hope we can kill this in time, and then you'll hit it once and it dies. That's always a fun feeling. So that's day one. We ran around, we fought a day boss, and now it's time to move on into day two. And we just smoothly transition into day two on the same map. So any of the areas you haven't been able to get to, you can now go to them. So they seem to want to go back and fight this boss. I don't think our 2 extra levels are going to give us much better of a chance, but if we do kill that boss, it's going to be a big, rune spike and potentially a very good reward. So again, that risk reward, as I was saying, it's finely crafted. Many a times I've had like an area we want to get to, and the zone's been coming in. And like I was saying, the zone really messes you up in this game. You don't want to be caught in it. This guy's quite nasty. Ow. Yep. It seems we're going down here. That's, we might be having a replay of the previous incident. We get our teammates up, and as you can see, we get our teammates up by hitting them with our weapons. Which is a very, very fun way of changing up the system, and I did not see that one coming. Our teammate can get me up nice and quick, then I could get our other teammate up nice and quick. So that means like the archer can get people up quite nicely. I'm not going to be able to get you. So yeah, it looks like we're running into the same issue again. Oh, the Revenant's summons can actually get people up. That's interesting. I didn't know that. This guy is hard focusing me. So I've got it down to half HP. I mean, like, it's doable, but we're wasting a lot of time when we could be getting stronger in other ways. And if we end up not killing this, if we end up running again, then it's so much time wasted. So we're almost kind of in a sunk cost here, where it's like, nah, we need to kill this thing. Get our teammate up here again. That's unfortunate. That attack is so devastating. So if all 3 people die, like you've seen before, while we're out in the world, then we don't like feel the run or anything. But if you die during the bosses at the end of a day, or during the Night Lord, if all 3 people die at the same time, then that is a that would be a game over wipe, and then you've got to go on another expedition. That was a nasty one. I thought that swing was coming in a lot faster. So far though, I haven't actually fully died yet, so I'm not losing any runes here. But we're so close to getting this thing killed, so we want to... We'd obviously like to get this finished. Thought I was going to die to that exact same attack again. We've nearly got him. Oh, the big swing, the big rotate. So they should just kill him at this point. Although the archer's probably going to start hitting me. Okay, looks like they got it. That's good. Now, I still get the runes while I'm down. That's the first time I've ever seen that happen, so that's good. You can see once the 3 ticks get up, it is very hard to get people up. So going down multiple times is a real nasty, negative to the overall team fight. Let's see, what do we get? We get the butchering knife. That's a lot of damage. Lowest weak critical gun? Yeah, I think I want that butchering knife. That looks good. And did it drop a side of grace? I think it did. Yeah, they normally do. So normally, like, big bosses and stuff will drop those. because you'll almost certainly need them. So it's like, don't be afraid about using your flasks out in the world. You don't need to save them necessarily for the night boss, because running up to a site of grace will just refill it for free, and your health and stuff, so it's very good. Now we've got the zone coming in on day 2, and you can see where it's going to go to. So everywhere inside this area, we're going to be fine for a bit. So you might try and... So our teammate here, you can see, wants to get this place done before the zone comes in. So now we're going to have the gamble of, can we clear this place out before the zone gets here? And again, this can be a nasty decision that can end runs, because if you die to the zone, you're not getting those runes back on the second day, 100%. If you lose your runes outside on the first day, you could potentially get your runes back whenever it transitions into the second day. Improves damage negation at full HP. I'll take that. Why the hell not? So we're level 8 currently. We did use a lot of time on that world boss. I think so far I've seen, ideally you would like to be level 11 or so going into the Night Lord, which is what's going to be happening after the boss at the end of this day. So you do 2 days, 2 night bosses, and then into the Night Lord. So far, yeah, it seems like level 11 is kind of like the good spot where you want to be. Not that you can't do it without that, but it seems to be a good sort of benchmark to be at. And where are we running to here? Where's our teammate want to go? Yes, so the churches, they're very useful. Just because they give you more flask charges. And I believe you can get upwards of 8, I believe is the maximum I've seen so far. And obviously the more flasks the better, that's just a given. So I'm very close to another level up, about 5,000 runes, so we want to be having a look out for just some enemies to be farming on the way, perhaps. Where's our teammate got themselves off to here? So there's a spirit jump over here, teammate's probably going to climb over there. So obviously there's no torrent in this, just whenever you click in the left stick to do your sprinting and stuff, you will just do a big super sprint. That is essentially the speed of what torrent was in Elden Ring. Because you would just be dismounting and remounting constantly, so I imagine that's why they didn't bother adding any torrent-based stuff into this. Oh, so we've actually got like a mini world boss out here. This is actually a really good one to find because this one's quite weak. But the runes, you know, can always be useful. And maybe the reward as well. Big stagger on him and a big smack. This might just kill him outright. Yes. Get a reward. HP restoration from flash, that is just always fantastic. And let's head over and grab that other one. And we've got enough to level up as well whenever I get over to there. So one of my weapons, I believe it's this one. Yeah, defeating groups fires golden shockwave. So I just run into a group, hit one enemy, kill him, and then the shockwave kills the rest. So great time saver that I don't have to waste on smaller groups. I can just go in, clear them all out. Plenty of runes. So that's the sort of stuff, you know, you want to be looking out for. Stuff that is like time saving, rune acquisition, just because you want to be getting as strong as possible. And here's a little scarab, kill you. Improved item discovery. That is not a bad one to get, certainly. Item discovery in this case, I believe, just means that the rarity of what you can get will be better, as well as it also means that random enemies can also drop potentially like really good stuff. So currently, like, every enemy does have a chance of dropping, like, say, a weapon, but it's a very small chance off rip, because they want you to incentivize going to obviously these different places. But increased item discovery, maybe a random enemy will now drop a cool sword for me that might be useful for my run, you never know, and then that sword can make the run. And each Night Lord has a specific weakness as well, and it's not just like, oh, they take a bit more damage to it, it's like actually like some gameplay mechanic enhancing weakness. Let's do our Retaliate here, very good against them. And I just missed my big cleaver chop. Do a little heal. I'm not two-handing my weapon, unfortunately. Oh, no, sorry, I was, and I undid that. I thought I had the Cestus in my other hand out there. Things getting a little bit hectic. Sometimes the bosses will be like several versions of, say, maybe a more like medium enemy or boss. So like these Ancient Heroes of Zamor, it's actually 3 of them instead of 1. You have to find all them and kill them all. Another one of these. Oh, that one has frost on it though. 295. I think the extra damage of mine is going to be good here, because against regular enemies and regular bosses, I think the frost would be better, but against the Night Lord, I don't know how often we're going to be able to proc frost, because they seem quite resistant to status effects, unless it's one they're particularly weak to. Now this is maybe not a fight we're going to be able to do quick, although I'm doing decent damage here. Let's summon the rock, give it a little stun. Now we do more damage. If we can keep up the damage too, get a little stagger going on it. One pretty big change from this game, from Elden Ring, is that you can hit enemies even when they're being like critically hit. Like if someone does a like a big wound attack on a weak point after it's been staggered, everyone can just keep hitting it anyway, and it still does damage. So very important to keep that in mind, because that's a lot of free damage just to go into an enemy at that time. This guy's decided he just wants to run around doing this, and there we go, there's the stagger. So if we run in, then I can keep hitting it even while she does that. Lovely stuff. So we're actually mopping up this enemy pretty handily. But the zone is here. That is very unfortunate timing, because this is... I'm dead to this. That is horrible timing. Horrible, horrible timing. I got hit on the backswing by the boss. Yeah, tough. Very, very tough. I didn't even notice the zone was coming in, so there we go. Wasn't paying attention. Died to the zone. Well... Died because I got hit in the backswing, put me down to 1 HP, and then the zone finished me off. And because the zone is so scary in this game, it's like the team they just can't come back for that. There might have been a chance that the archer dude, if he didn't run right away, he might have been able to get me out because I was only on 1 tick, but that's how quickly things can just change. Like, I was feeling pretty confident in my build there. I was probably going to get a level, maybe get close to another level off of that. Be in a really good spot going into this boss, and then that this nightly boss would have given me that last little top up to go into the Night Lord in a strong sort of condition. But then that's just changed, and we'll have to see how this goes. Hopefully this last night boss won't be a huge pain. Where's my golden explosion? There we go. Read the text on that. Defeating group fires. Okay, so I have to beat the group. Interesting. Oh, so it must be kill a certain amount of enemies to like charge it almost. If I had to guess. I've definitely seen that proc on one enemy. Yeah, lots of learning in this, and not a lot of time to do it. So that feeling of hecticness that I've said is just really prevalent through every run. And you're either going to love or hate that. Personally, right now, I am loving it. Every run, you just have to be so focused on how to maximize, how to get stronger. Give you a little kick, give you a little slash. Simple as that. Over you. This guy has a lot of health. And they're bullying him outside of the zone, which we can't follow. Classic. Very funny. Right, now who do we get? Tree Sentinel. Very familiar boss. We know the moveset very well from Elden Ring. But he also gets a couple of Royal Cavalrymen to sort of even it up, because 3v1 against a Tree Sentinel is a little bit easy. Some bosses have extended movesets for this game, just to bring them more up to par. Especially some of the older Souls games bosses that have been brought into this. I don't believe the Tree Sentinel is one of them. Actually, no, he does have a couple of new moves. He has like a big mass heal that he can do for his cavalrymen and stuff. Nearly got you. If we can knock him off his horse. Come on, one more hit, one more hit. Ow. Okay, he decided to target switch. That's one thing you have to be very careful of, is enemies will target switch a lot. So unless you have something that like reduces your aggro, which I've seen as a passive on a few things, then you just gotta be careful. Gotta pay attention to the fight. And that's where like playing with friends and not randoms can sort of come in very handy, because they can tell you like, oh, he's not looking at me anymore. That sort of stuff. Ow. Keep missing that. It's always a shorter attack because it's a different animation on this weapon. I keep forgetting that. Oh yes, so there's one of his new attacks. He summons in these like ghost cavalry. Perfect. And then we get the stance on you. We'll just give you the big chop. And a big stab. Just like that, we're 3v1 against the Tree Sentinel now. I need to use my ability more. There we go, just like that, and that stuns the bosses. Very, very useful ability with the Raider. Ow. That's a big AoE. This guy's kind of getting bullied a bit, though. And then I've got my big rock, which will just summon that, and this should put him... Nope, he's run away from it. I thought he was going to stay there. So yeah, we've got this one in the bag. Now the Night Lord, that's going to be a whole different question. There we go. Lovely. It's been a little bit of a tough run. A little bit of a tough one. So I just want to start point of a surge sprint. Where's the attack? Yeah, HP. Just give me health. I need to tank attacks. That's what I need to be doing. So, after defeating day 2 night boss, the goop appears. That takes us to the spirit shelter. And this is our last little bit of moment to breathe and get ready to fight the big boss. So I'm only going to be at level 9, which is not an ideal level to be fighting this guy at. And there's always a merchant at the end. They seem to sell the same things. Or well, random wondrous physic flasks, and then a few, and then these seem to be always the same, just some extra little buff items you can use. And then you can do some upgrading on your weapons if you have any upgrade materials. And look at that. Gorgeous. From Software know how to do an absolutely amazing vista, as always. We'll probably not end up beating this Night Lord if I had to guess, unless we've got 2 people. I'm not sure what level these 2 are. I don't know if there's a way to... Oh, I can see that. So 11 and 10. Okay, so we're not too out of it, but I could definitely do with being a bit stronger here. There we go, and you get a little cutscene. I'm going to vote to skip it, because I've seen it quite a lot. That needs a little little party vote skip or whatever. But each Night Lord has felt very different. Very, very different. Need a totally different strategy for each one. Although maybe you can get to the point where you're just so strong that you can brute force your way through these fights, but they're very raid boss-like, where they have certain like very big telegraphed attacks, and if you haven't seen them before or if you don't know them well, it's very easy to get wiped out by that. Had that a couple of times, especially with the Centipede Demon. He has a couple of big attacks that are very nasty if you don't know what's happening with them. Or even Gladius here, the three-headed dog boss. There's a particular fire breath attack that it does that is very, very nasty, and if you don't know it's coming, that could just be half your health bar just gone, like that. So let's give it our best shot here. It's like I was saying, each Night Lord has like a specific weakness as well, so I believe this one was Holy. Which I do actually, do I have? I do have, oh no, that's Lightning. I don't actually have, oh no, I have the Golden Halberd, so I could use that. That'll probably end up doing some good work here, actually. But lots of big attacks, lots of big movement. You really have to be paying attention to these bosses. That's the big fire breath attack. That one's nasty. Because you don't think it's going to go that far, and then it very much does. Perfect. We both got the stagger, or the riposte at once there. That was interesting. Alright, here comes his big thing, where he splits into 3 individuals. So sometimes during these fights, one of the players will have this like red mark on them, and that basically means the boss is hard focusing a certain player. I had it on for a second there, but not sure why it went away. Heal here. See, that attack is so fast, Jesus. Yeah, I'm not demonstrating the best work here. But hey, listen, I'm also giving live commentary and critique of the game. It's kind of tough. Souls game's definitely one of the harder ones to do that on, especially this one. Alright, that phase is kind of over, so we're back to this one. Interestingly, they made grab attacks very... what's the word I'm looking for? Signposted? That's definitely not the word, but you get what I mean. Telegraphed, that's the one. You know when a grab is coming because of this like purple effect, which is interesting. I guess just during the chaotic nature of these big fights. It's just better to have that sort of thing. Can feel a little bit frustrating, perhaps, to get grabbed out of an attack that you didn't realize was one. I'll summon my big rock on you. I think that was really poorly timed. I'm just gonna chill up here on my big rock. What are you gonna do about it? Do my big riposte. Thankfully it gives you some iframes. It seems like Holy is doing some good work when they're in this phase. Always think that's coming out a second later. We're not actually doing too bad here. It's very winnable. Okay, so he roared and then put a red thing on him then, so it looks like he's now the focus, but didn't stay for very long. Do my big counter attack. We love doing the counter attack. Big headbutt. Oh, this is a big sword attack. This is nasty. Nasty work. There should be a big stun on it. Yes, and we killed it with that. Beautiful. Well, I didn't expect to jump into the run and actually beat the Night Lord while also making this video. So, yeah, just an added extra little bit to it there. So that's generally a run. Yeah, that's sort of what it looks like. At the end of your run, you get this little like map screen where you get to see like, hey, look, this is where you all went. This is you died over here. You killed this boss there. Here's all the stats of everyone. Really cool stuff. And then you get your random relics, which if I hadn't beat that boss before, I would get a unique one here. But they're all randomized, so you might get some good, you might get some bad. Some ones have 1 effect, some have 3 on the bigger ones. But yeah, that's sort of that's basically it. It's a lot of fun. It's messy. It's certainly messy. But if you like Souls combat and the combat loop, and you like how focused this is, because it really wants you to be constantly on your toes, thinking about what's the best way to get stronger and what's the fastest way to do it. It really rewards it really incentivizes these risk-reward scenarios with the way it's laid everything out. The characters are fun. The map variety, that's one thing actually, the map variety. So the specific locations of certain things change all over the place, but the actual map layout, the actual terrain, seems to be very, very much the same, with the exception of there are certain big modifiers that can happen. So one I've seen is a big volcano basically opens up on the map, and now there's a big lava area. The whole north of the map is like a big lava area now. And these are kind of temporary, so for your next like maybe 5, 6, 10 runs, that'll be in effect. If you want to get rid of them, you can actually go to the waiting room, and you can sleep there, and it will sort of get rid of that effect. So if you'd just rather not have that, but that's the sort of thing. Like as you beat more bosses, it unlocks more and more variety in that sort of aspect of the game. But yeah, I've been having a great time with this one. Like I said, put about 16 hours into it, and I plan to put many more till I've beaten all these bosses, almost certainly. And we'll see what sort of DLC plans they have. But you can pick this one up for $34.99 or £34.99 or $39.99. So we're not talking a full price game here. But I'd say if you're a cost to content ratio enjoyer of your determining if a game's worth your time, then I would say this one's going to be very worth. Unless you beat every boss like first time, you know, and then you'll be in and out in 5 minutes. But I've been having a really good time. I think this one's very good, and I love seeing From Software be more experimental. I love seeing them get to just do more fun stuff with their things, and if this helps fund their next big game, even more power to it. So yeah, this has been What's This Then? On Elden Ring Nightreign. I hope you've enjoyed. I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.